Hi, everyone. I'm John Kenlon, Senior Vice President at EnsembleIQ and publisher of Drugstore News. I'm with Anita Patel, VP, Pharmacy Services Development at Walgreens. Hi, Anita. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So highly transmissible viruses began circulating in the U.S. in the fall of 2022, and the spread has continued this year. Just like it did during COVID, when it helped fill the testing, the treatment, the vaccination void, Walgreens has a plan to keep its patients safe through this latest healthcare challenge. So thinking with that in mind, you launched the single visit rapid flu testing and COVID-19 testing in 5,000 doors. What prompted that substantial move?
So, John, patients have really come to expect COVID testing and COVID vaccinations and other routine immunizations from community pharmacies. In March 2020, when the pandemic really started spinning up, pharmacists were given the green light to be able to do testing and then later to be able to do vaccinations. And with Walgreens, almost 80 million shots in arms have been administered to date. Offering COVID-19 flu testing all in one visit is just critical to help manage the spread of these viruses. Communities expect this. It allows patients to help get the treatment that they need faster and really give patients a better action in terms of the next best step that they should take for their health. So this to us is the next step after everything we've done on the COVID space, routine immunizations, and really getting to improving baseline care access for communities all across the country.
All right. So thinking about that very big undertaking, you need a strong partner. Walgreens partnered with Abbott on the flu testing kits. Why Abbott? Why are they a good partner for this initiative?
So for us, Abbott's a natural fit for us. They're expanding our testing capabilities. They've been a reliable partner throughout the pandemic to provide our patients and our communities with fast and reliable results. And that's what matters most. These rapid molecular tests allow patients to know their status within 2 hours. So knowing that this is reliable, it's trusted, and it's fast, and that we've had this long-standing partnership, it's a natural fit. And they've been just an incredible partner to allow us to scale on in a way nationally.
So this is a little bit longer question, so be patient. Community pharmacy continues to give more responsibility to the pharmacists. We ask a lot of them, and they seem to be more than up to the challenge. They handled it during COVID, came through with flying colors. What's the Walgreens view when it comes to the role of the pharmacist in supporting and protecting local communities from ongoing health challenges, especially in the respiratory area? And how are pharmacists being utilized in the actual testing? They're very busy. They're filling scripts. Now they're testing. They're giving shots. What services, resources can pharmacists provide if a patient tests positive for flu and COVID? So that's a lot of questions. How are these pharmacists handling all of this, and what are they actually doing in the trenches?
So I'll start, and then definitely feel free to weave in if I misaddressing any of the questions. So when you ask any pharmacist what it is that they love about their job, the answer is always about helping the patients within their community. A patient can travel less than 5 miles, come in for a quick diagnostic, and that information that we're getting them, especially in this testing space, is allowing them to take this next best action. For the last 3 years through COVID, we've been telling patients, once you get this test result, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be able to stay at home. You're going to be able to get guidance on, do you need to wear a mask? Or maybe you even need treatment. And we're also offering that first step of vaccinations and making sure you stay protected. So if you do test positive, that you know that you're protected and that hopefully you won't get as severe of an illness for flu or COVID. So the larger picture is we're making it more easier for people to be able to get these services for pharmacists to be able to care for these patients for these critical baseline services. When we think about what it is that we're asking the pharmacists to do and how we build this into our workflow, it's really important that we're freeing up the pharmacist's time to be able to have these interactions. And so we're really taking it to another level to make sure that we're staffed correctly, that we've got the right support within our stores to be able to offer these services. We've got new innovative solutions like micro-fulfillment that are set up so that we can take some of the traditional tactical dispensing requirements and really be able to augment what's happening in the stores so that pharmacists' time does get freed up. What this translates to is pharmacists actually being able to do the activities of helping people get tested. And in some instances, like with COVID, super exciting, but we've been able to really push the limits on prescribing, where pharmacists are now allowed to prescribe for Paxlovid. So doing the clinical assessment, seeing if the patient's actually eligible for the drug, and then prescribing the drug and dispensing it, so making it as easy as possible for the patient to be able to access that medication after that test result. Similarly for flu, in some of our stores around the country, we're able to also test as well as treat for flu. So really looking at how we're changing the role of the pharmacist and the ability to access care right down the community local level, that's where our focus has been and what we're most excited about, and making sure that we're able to load balance those tactical administrative tasks and really make more time for these human interactions to occur is front and foremost in terms of our planning and where we think the industry as a whole is going.
Are most of the states on board with allowing the pharmacists to perform these new roles?
So it's definitely a changing environment. I think what we've learned from COVID and what some of the federal authorities have allowed us to do and how those authorities have allowed us to move in practice, it's really set a precedent. So how do we take those lessons learned and also apply it to other diseases, to other drugs, to other vaccines to allow us to continue to operate and provide really great services down to that local level through our pharmacies and our pharmacists. It's an evolving environment in terms of our state regulations. So really taking the time to work with our regulators to have those conversations to explain how we've been able to change the scope and improve community health for COVID. How do we expand this further to help across other disease states? So I think this is a really challenging environment right now for our frontline staff, and it's really around how do we continue to remind people that COVID is still happening. I know we're at a different place within the pandemic. However, we can't forget that we still have 4,000 deaths occurring a week and over 4,000 hospitalizations occurring a day. Like, this is still a severe disease for a subset of the population. So looking at the information, the data, and being able to help people make informed decisions, like should they get vaccinated, what steps should they take after they get tested, all these things are critically important for people to stay healthy for themselves, but also for their families and those that they care most about.
Yeah, which leads me to the next question about those pharmacists and how the questions that they get from their patients every day. I got my COVID test at the Walgreens in the town where I live. I live on Long Island, and I'm in there frequently, and I've noticed that the pharmacist, no matter how busy they are, always takes time to come over and talk to me. She may be very busy, but she always comes over to help me, and we'll spend a couple of minutes with me. So thinking about that, all of the reports that we're getting is that this is going to be a rough cold and flu season. I think it already is. So the pharmacists are going to continue to get more of these patient questions, concerns, requests, inquiries from people like me. So when it comes to them providing recommendations and guidance, how does Walgreens help facilitate that so that the pharmacist can do their everyday job but still talk to the patient? Sorry, another long question, but
yeah, no, it's fine. We want to make sure that as we're offering these opportunities to be able to talk to patients, to be able to guide them on their healthcare journey, that we're cognizant of the resources we have in our stores. So whether that is using slightly different staffing models, increasing staffing, including pharmacists as well as tech support, and also encouraging patients to make appointments where we can. You know, with vaccinations, especially over the last 3 years, it's something that we want to make sure can fit into workflow in some instances, or perhaps we have a clinic in that particular local store because the demand's so high. So we also pivot that model, but using appointments to be able to ensure convenience for patients, and that, you know, an individual's time is really valuable to us too and important. So it becomes a more predictable experience overall. We've also implemented new technologies across our healthcare ecosystem. So this is how we approach digital health, how we guide patients to be able to fill out their information before they get into the store. So again, taking care of some of those tasks in advance of, and also level setting expectations to patients and communicating to them how long we think it will take, and ensuring that a lot of that information is either digital, is in store, that our techs are aware of it, the training, and really leaning on the expertise of the pharmacist to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because, you know, traditionally you would go to the doctor and you'd wait, and you'd probably wait a lot longer than you thought you'd have to. But it was the doctor, and that's what Walgreens did. At retail, it's different. At retail pharmacy, people expect a certain level of service. They want it now because that's the way it is at retail. So it puts, I think, a lot of pressure on a pharmacist to perform. And I think if you're able to continue to use technology the way you are, that's going to make things even better. So, all right. So final question. Everyone always wants to know, you know, kind of what's next. You know, what does the future hold? So thinking about the fact that, you know, you've got 9,000 stores. Walgreens is a super convenient healthcare option for many, and for some, it's really the only option when it comes to healthcare that's available, accessible, convenient. How are you building on this advantage to make it easier for everyone to find quality, accessible, affordable care? And is that something that we're going to see more of in the future?
We hope so. And that is definitely what our intent is. This is, again, like so many lessons learned off of COVID. We have a population in this country that does not have access to basic quality, low acuity care. These are services that are really simple, that can help guide patients to make the next best decision in their healthcare. And we want to make sure that we're able to provide broader clinical health services in this space. So this is chronic condition care management, testing and treatment services like we spoke of, continuing routine immunization care, and doing whatever we can to close these gaps in care. We're definitely adjusting based on community level needs. So you'll see that every single store doesn't look the same. We're also exploring and seeing what we can do in terms of offering different services in different communities. And so testing to see what actually works well. Creating convenience, localized access to care is what that, coupled with the right types of services, is what's going to resonate most with communities across the country. We also want to make sure that patients are on track with their health. So the way that they're going to approach in this world of like digital tools, with enabling them to be able to monitor their health more closely, understand their health, and that health literacy is another major component of what we're thinking through. So lots in flight. How do we ensure that we can expand the type of services that we provide? And again, these are like basic low acuity care services, and doing that in collaboration with the broader healthcare team that serve these individuals. So really trying to make this a better overall individual patient care experience for every person that comes through our doors.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Anita Patel, VP, Pharmacy Services Development at Walgreens. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
Great. Thanks so much, John. I appreciate this.
You're welcome.